Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Jason Wilcox, the Director of Football of Manchester United, comes out with an amazing statement. We'll talk about that. Also, United's January transfer strategy, will be revealing what that is and also why they apparently don't recruit dickheads anymore. Their words, not mine. We'll also be talking about what the latest is with Zirkzee. I didn't do a news show this morning, so just to bring you up to the latest there, United have rejected a bid for him. I want to pose a question as well. It is an 8 o'clock show. Where would you rank Manchester United's performances at the moment since Sir Alex was here? Some people are saying it's the worst football we've played, even worse than Moyes. Do you think that's fair? We'll talk about that if we get time towards the end of the show as well. And don't forget the video I did this afternoon. If you didn't watch it, you might want to get into a bit of a debate about that. United players, Delo especially, saying that they need to care more about the club and winning trophies. And apparently they don't want to talk to the class of 92 because they're too critical. Lots to get into on the show tonight. And Wilcox's statement was, trust the process. So we'll be talking about that. Do you trust the process at Manchester United? It's an 8 o'clock show. You're going to drive it with your comments and opinions. I will just feed it in. But before we get into all of that, we are sponsored by Surfshark tonight. You should know what Surfshark is. It's a virtual private network, a VPN. We've got a great offer for you. But what is Surfshark? Well, it's the ability to protect your online data, private messages, photos, videos, sensitive information are safeguarded. Also, it's a VPN, so it has the ability to change your virtual location on platforms like Netflix, so you could be in New York and put that you're in London or vice versa. And it isn't just a VPN service. They offer Surfshark's One Suite, a comprehensive set of tools for your digital life that includes alerts which notifies if your personal data is compromised. But it's also usable on different things at the same time. So devices, you can be on your laptop and your phone at the same time. But the exciting part is you can secure your privacy with Surfshark by entering the code United Stand. You get an extra 4 months free. So that's right, you get premium digital protection for 4 months at no additional cost, and it offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. So check it out if you haven't got a VPN, or you have, check it out. Surfshark, 4 months and a 30-day money-back guarantee with the code United Stand. There you go. Thank you very much to Surfshark. Check that out. Right, let's get into the show. Has Amorim done enough to justify new signings, says David, and welcome to the Members Club, Mitt B. Okay, well, look, let's get into the headlines here, because interestingly, this is this is coming from an article. I think it might be Chris Wheeler in the Mail, basically saying that after the Crystal Palace game last week, Jason Wilcox urged journalists to trust the process on his way out. I mean, look, it's a very easy thing to say on your way out of a game, isn't it? When you've won against Crystal Palace. Wonder what he said after the West Ham game. Wonder what he said after the Everton game. Trust the process, though. Is that not the words of Louis van Gaal? I do get little night shivers in a bad way when I hear things that have been said in the past that didn't go that well. Trust the process. Do you trust the process? Do you trust the process? That's what we're talking about here. And I think with regards to the situation that we can see at the moment with Manchester United, I don't trust the process. I don't trust the process. I think that's very, very obvious that I don't trust it at the moment. I think that there might be a time where I do start to trust it again. And when we're saying trust the process, we're not talking about sack the manager here, by the way. I'm talking about Jason Wilcox as the Director of Football and a very key person involved in Manchester United. And I'm saying, if he's saying to the press, trust the process, it makes me laugh in a way as well, because it's almost like, I think United are very old school. I've spoken to a few people. I think they're really old school. I think there's people who work in that football club who are just not in touch with the modern world. And I think that they probably think, well, if we say to the journalists, trust the process, they're the people that matter because they can dictate how the fans think. Maybe 20 years ago, not now. I mean, feeding crap like trust the process to journalists, I mean, what does that even mean? We question journalists probably more than we question the club. So I'm like, trust the process. What process? What process? Trust the fact that we're losing games playing crap football because it will get better. Why should I trust that? As I said at the start of the show, I mean, look, it's not just my opinion, but realistically, obviously it's very easy in the now to say it's never been this bad, but has it ever been this bad? Was the football this bad under Ollie? Maybe for a very short period of time, from when he got battered by Liverpool at Old Trafford to when he got sacked against Watford, it was bad. Was it bad under Mourinho? Yeah, the last few weeks it was bad, definitely. Ten Hag, it was bad in the last few weeks. David Moyes, it was bad in the last few weeks. Van Gaal, it was bad in the last few weeks. But this has been going on for a year. Like, this is just crap football week in, week out with a few good results. So what is the process? Like, I'd like to know what the process is. What I'm saying is that there is a way through this, and it's match day tomorrow, and I think we're going to win. But I'd love to know what the process is. That's what I want to know. I want to know what that process is at Manchester United, because is the process going to be winning games of football, or is it going to be, playing good football, or is it going to be, signing new players? You can't just say as a director of football, trust the process. You've got to show what the process is. We're Manchester United. We're one of the biggest watched sports clubs in the world. You generate millions and millions every month off fans. You can't just say trust the process when there isn't one visible. And I think that somebody said it online earlier, and they're absolutely spot on. Is this just somebody who's out of his depth, like Barada, who just throws stuff out there? And why are we not scrutinising them? Ruben Amorim is scrutinised ridiculously. I'm sure people know what he has for breakfast. Wilcox and Barada have mastered the old Arnold and Woodward and Murta scenario of, you don't hear about them. Stay quiet. Don't, keep the target off you. And ultimately, they're as big a part of the process as anybody else, if not the biggest. So trust the process. That was the words of Jason Wilcox after the Palace game. We would like to know what the process is, Jason, because you know what? I don't know that you're actually the guy to lead us. I certainly don't think Sir Jim is, and I'm not convinced Barada is either. I mean, at the end of the day, I've got a lifelong Man United fan who doesn't behave like one. I've got an ex-Man City COO, and I've got an ex-Man City, Southampton and Leeds associated person who doesn't seem to have a lot of experience either. And we're meant to believe you're best in class. Tell us what the process is. Ollie would have been successful if he was back properly after we finished second. Instead, we got lip service, says Tony. And Mike JW says, what process are we trusting? I'm sorry, that's so vague. We can trust the players. Amorim in, game management is poor and recruitment is a mess. I think what worries me, Mike, is that this happened after the Crystal Palace game. And it's almost like in the international break when we just beaten Sunderland, Radcliffe did an interview, didn't he? 3 years. We beat Palace, trust the process. It's almost like whenever there's a result that's positive, get the positive interview out there. Let's ride that wave. It's like, we've got an owner and a CEO and a director of football who seem to wait for a good result to put something out. And I'm sort of looking at it and I'm going, this is like the players when they win once a month and they're all on Instagram going, good one, bro. Oh, you're cooking, bro. Oh, And it's like, is that the mentality at Man United? Let's soak up the win when it comes and, bask in the glory of it. But we all know there's a bad result coming around. I mean, look, what I'm trying to say is, if I was director of football, I wouldn't be walking into the journalists like a boss saying, hey, trust the process. The Fonzie's here. I'd be going, we beat Crystal Palace with 2 set pieces, no goals from open play, and they were knackered because they played on Thursday night. We might have been a little bit lucky there. But no, trust the process. We beat Palace. And I'm like, I don't think anybody, even Amorim himself, said at the end of the game, Palace were tired. So I don't think there was a process to beating Crystal Palace. That's what I'm trying to say. First, trust is earned, says Emily Derry. I hope you're doing well. What have they done to earn trust, and what process are we supposed to be trusting? So far, I see a confused mess and no plan. Yeah, and look, we've spent a lot of time talking about Amorim, and maybe we will talk about Amorim in this show, but it's certainly not on my agenda because there's quite a few things to go through. And I think that, the cultured fan with nuance looks at Man United's situation, and we spoke about the players this afternoon exclusively. Amorim wasn't mentioned. And I'd like to be focusing on some of the stuff that's coming from the people in power. Because, you can say you don't like the selections of Amorim, the performance of the team, the tactics, but, there are people above him who could be making changes who just seem to sit there going, trust the process, trust the process. The problem he's going to run into is that we have heard it all before. We need action and not words. We've been patient long enough, says Tony. Devo, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for getting your badge in. And David made a good point. Has Amorim... Well, just before I go to the next point about... Because this works quite well, David. I know I read it in a moment, but I did want to come back to it. There is a story from Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail about Man United's January transfer window approach. Trust the process. We'll talk about what the story is. But does Amorim, in your opinion, justify new signings in the transfer window in January? In 3 weeks' time? Does he? Because to me, yes. If Ruben Amorim's here in January, he deserves signings. If Ruben Amorim, and this won't happen, was sacked next week and an interim came in, he would deserve new signings. I don't really think it matters who the manager is in January. We need signings. In answer to David's question, does Amorim deserve signings in January? I know what you mean. You sort of like saying the tactics aren't good, he's making mistakes, I wouldn't invest any more money in him. But regardless of whether he's staying or going, we don't have a manager that has a total control of the transfer window now. So if you buy Amorim a player, Wilcox, Barada, Favel also have a say as well. So even if Amorim gets sacked, what I'm trying to say is, if I'm Jason Wilcox and I'm not sure about Amorim, I still buy a midfielder in January, but I buy a midfielder in January that works for Amorim, but also works for the next manager as well. It's not that difficult. You know, if I buy Baleba, he could work in a different system to Amorim. If I buy Conor Gallagher, he can work in a different system to Amorim. The worst thing would be going, well, we're not going to buy him a player because we might sack him in the summer. The club needs a midfielder regardless of that. So I absolutely do not agree with anybody saying I wouldn't spend money on Amorim in January because he might be sacked in the summer. The club doesn't have that structure of a board anymore. You know, it's not Amorim's signings exclusively, which is why we got Sasko in the summer, because that was a board signing. So 100%, whoever the manager is in January should be getting backed. But what the article said was that, in essence, Manchester United do not have a strategy for a January transfer window signing. The article by Chris Wheeler says that Manchester United, if they use the January transfer window, it will be to accelerate a deal they had planned for the summer rather than make any panic buys. This terrifies me. This really terrifies me because I sort of sit here again saying, so if Glazers were a colour and they were, I don't know, orange, and Ineos are meant to be blue, so very different colours, why do I look at Ineos and see orange? And I hope people know what I mean by that. It's like, if the Glazers represent a colour to you, Ineos were meant to represent something different, but all I see is the same thing. Like this idiocy around the January transfer window not being important. And we sort of hear it again. United will only buy a player in January if they can accelerate a player in the summer because they don't want to do a panic buy in January. Why do we associate January with panic buys? This is United-led, fed shit. They always do this about January. They try to spin this yarn that January is for panic signings. Was Enzo Fernandez a panic signing? Was Mamouche a panic signing? Was Bruno Fernandes a panic signing? And we bought him. Like, January transfer window. I mean, this is why we fail. Because we've got morons in charge. Who in that football club is sat there putting this shit out that the January transfer window is for panic signings, but if we can get a summer signing in January, we might do it? The January transfer window, quite simply, is just a shortened transfer window in the middle of the season. And what we've seen over the last 3 years is that you can buy any player in January. There is no, this, I agree, maybe 10 years ago, the January transfer window may have been a bit of a panic place where people are in trouble, go and panic buy, but not anymore. It's just like squad player says, it's just another window. It's not a panic window. And United are still feeding it out, thinking you lot are mushrooms who love to swallow shit. It's a nonsense. The January transfer window is not a panic buying window. It's just another window, like somebody just said there. And this has been proven by other clubs, none more so than Man City, who went and bought players to give. They knew they needed to buy about 7 players. So they bought 2 or 3 in January and 3 or 4 in the summer, instead of buying 7 in one window. And that's what we are. But also, as Lisa says, well, are we not panicking anyway? Even if they want to call it a panic window, are we not in a panic? So it's almost like the club, they mislabeled the window anyway and call it a window for panic signings, but also we're a club in panic. So maybe that would work for us, but it isn't a panic window anyway. So that worries me slightly that we're going, well, we're not going to, all it is Glazonomics under a different badge. You know, Ineos again proving themselves that they are wolves in sheep clothing. They're still the Glazers, because realistically, they don't want to spend January. They don't want to spend in January because the computer says no. It'll be something financial why they don't want to do it. But what I find incredible is when the transfer window closed on August the 31st, how they ever thought they had a squad to get through till May is laughable. I would have been, on September the 1st, I'd have been calling a big meeting saying, I know we don't like to do it, but we definitely need to be doing something in January. But every year we don't. We go, well, we're all right, aren't we? And you sort of look at it and go, no, you haven't even had an average window. You've had a shit window, and you're now thinking you're going to get through the whole season. And there's cause and effect. There's association, isn't there? Because it doesn't work. Who will be Amorim's successor to PO? I don't know. You don't have the players to play his actual system, says Charlie. If we can't win tomorrow, I'd be very worried, says Sean. Well, I'm not allowed to predict what's going to happen, but, I mean, if you can't beat Wolves, I'm sorry. You know, Liverpool fans have got the Christmas crackers out because they've got Wolves on the 27th. That's a game they can actually win. So, I mean, look, if we can't beat Wolves... I'll tell you what, though. Official. I was speaking to somebody this morning, well-sourced. They said to me, and I do agree with them, if United lost to Wolves tomorrow, Amorim wouldn't be sacked. And I had that from somebody... Well, we'll probably never see the scenario, so we won't know. But if we lose tomorrow, I guarantee you Amorim doesn't get sacked. He will still be in charge for Bournemouth. And that, to me, has got nothing to do with Amorim and everything to do with the ownership. And, you know, I mean, look, do you think he should be sacked if we lost to Wolves? I don't think we will. But, yeah, that was from a very good source this morning that he will not be sacked if they lose to Wolves. There's no plan in place for it and they don't want to do it. They really will just keep by him going, it's going to get better at some point. So I think maybe there's some people tomorrow thinking if we lose that game, he gets sacked. I think there'll be a lot more people hammering him out, but not the people who make the decisions. And I didn't need to be told that this morning. I don't get the feeling that's on the agenda anyway. They haven't got a clue what the process is either. We'd be better off with the Teletubbies in charge, says George. Ollie would have been... I've done that one from Tony. Thank you very much. Get your comments in tonight. Thank you. Emily Derry says, all that financial acumen and not one of them can manage to budget for 2 windows, says Emily. Exactly. It's incredible. Tom McBride says, I'm 24. Will I ever see Man United win again? I mean, I don't want to say anything crude, but I'd say you're not going to see one in your 20s. We're not going to win one in the next 6 years. I don't think. I mean, I don't have the answer, but I don't think you're going to see it in your 20s, to be honest. Mojo's back in the house. He says, given how close the top 10 teams are to top 4 and how unpredictable the league is this season, not investing in the squad in January would be suicidal. A decent investment could mean millions in return by qualifying for the Europe. Mojo, do you want to take Barada's job? Because you speak a lot more sense than he does. I mean, that to me is just, logical. And I think we'd all agree with that. Certainly. And I think, look... I think I have got it here at the click of a button, so I may as well just do it because I can. Cheers, everybody, by the way. I watched Arthur Christmas this afternoon. I had a takeaway. Seb played this morning. Hadn't played in a month because of the bad weather. They were bloody brilliant. 1-4-1. Watched the Christmas film. Nice, relaxing evening. Couple of beers. I feel like Christmas has arrived. And... whatever happens, we've raised a lot of money for charity over the years. We've had some great times over the years. And as much as Man United are a pain in the arse, as a community, we go from strength to strength and you're fantastic. So cheers. I just want to say that because I think sometimes we get lost in the moment of what we care about, which is United and how badly they are run, but we forget to care for each other. And you are a fantastic community. So cheers to everybody. But look, there's the league table. John's decorating the tea tonight. I feel like Christmas really started today, actually. For years, people have told me to watch Arthur Christmas. It's a bit of a kid's film, and I watched it, and we all watched it as a family, and I was like, actually, that's really good. Really enjoyed it. I'll add that to the list for future years. But look, that's how the league table looks at the moment. We can't go to 5th now because Palace won at Fulham. I mean, we're so lucky to have beaten Palace. We're so lucky to be. We were so lucky that Palace played in France on the Thursday night. I definitely think Palace would have beat us if they'd have had a couple of days extra. But fair play to Palace. They'll be above us no matter what. So if we win tomorrow, which we should do, we'll nestle into 6th place behind Chelsea on 25 points. And Mojo's right. The league is very congested. And as I said last night, I've got no time for these people going, oh, we're only 2 points off this, we're 2 points off that. We're playing shit. We're playing absolutely shit. After 38 games, we could finish 15th again. Who knows? However, to touch on what Mojo's saying, he's absolutely right. How many of these teams in the top 10, and we're not there yet, but we will be tomorrow, hopefully, how many of these teams in January are going to strengthen? How many are going to drop off? How many are going to get stronger? And I sort of look at it and I go, well, let's forget Arsenal and Man City. Goodbye, they're gone. Villa with Thursday night football could start to drop points, certainly. They could do. But Villa last season had a very good January transfer window. They took Rashford from us, they took Asensio, they took Malen. So Villa have proven that the January transfer window is something they know their way around. Chelsea, I mean, you never know with them. You just don't know with them. Everton, I don't think they're going to hang around for long. Brighton, I don't know. Sunderland, I don't think they'll hang around. Liverpool, I think they'll be active in January. Spurs, I think they'll be active in January. And let's not forget Newcastle aren't on that page yet. I think Newcastle are a team that's going to come back into it as well. So I think there's always this assumption that there's always this feeling with United that we think we're going to do something and no one else is going to do it. And if we don't touch the January transfer window and 3 or 4 clubs do effectively strengthen, we're playing a very dangerous game in a season where we desperately do need European football. Nigel, hope you're doing well. He says, I think the biggest reality check for me is that every team in the top 10 looks like a team compared to United. We just have a team full of gaps. Thank you very much, Nigel. Look, I have a theory on United's style of play. We're basically playing a back 5, which hypothetically means we shouldn't be easy to score against, and then we're focusing on moments, whether it's a set piece or a moment of magic. I think that's the structure of Man United's plan. Try and stop people scoring with a back 5, and then try and score goals from set pieces or moments. It's a really basic shit way of playing football. It's not adventurous. It's not what Man United's all about. It's very risk averse, and it's worse than what Ollie did, really, because Ollie didn't play a back 5. Ollie liked to play compact and counter, but we play a back 5 and try to get set pieces and moments. It will win you some games. It will win you some games, but it's a crap way of approaching it. Coolio says, hi Mark, my best friend Caleb died in 2023, died of knife crime. I miss him every day. Wish him was here today. I was 13, now I'm 15. Love you, Mark. Well, I'm very sad to hear that, mate. Obviously, you know, that's a traumatic event and you're in the right place with a community that I'm sure is going to give you a lot of support in the chat. Thank you for sharing that with us. And, you know, we are just the football community. But, you know, I wish these things didn't happen. I wish the youth of today didn't walk around carrying knives and things like that. And I wish the government of this country, where I live, would do something about it a little bit stronger, because, you know, it's stories like that just turn the stomach, really, and it shouldn't be happening. But thanks for sharing with us, pal. I hope you're enjoying the show. Ryle says, hi, Mark. Do you think United could end up finishing in the top 4? How many of these have you had, Ryle? You forget the verdict on Man City's charges may be coming out soon. Keep up the great work. So you've not only put us in the top 4, you're thinking Man City are going to get found guilty. I mean, I like the positivity, but, you know, I mean, yeah, I don't see it. Some lovely messages in for Coolio in the chat. Chip says, you can't have a public 5-year rebuild with suffering and expect motivated squad with great mentality. As a player, would you be motivated if the owners saw the most vital years of your career as transition years without challenging? This, and this. I've said this before, Chip. I've said it before. If I go to work tomorrow and my boss says to me, we've got a really important project and it needs to get done, and I say, what's the deadline? And they say 5 years, and I know, well, I might not be here in 5 years and it's going to take 5 years. I ain't going to sit there and work my arse off. I'm going to go, well, we've got 5 years. You know, it's the messages that come out of this football club are shit. I mean, if I was a player hearing that Jason Wilcox is saying trust the process, I'd go, yeah, trust the process. I mean, that's not leadership. That's just not leadership. Leadership needs to set short-term targets. There needs to be jeopardy. There needs to be standards. I mean, look, as we said before, I don't want to bring it back to Amorim because we're talking about structure and process and bollocks. But, you know, if you're Bruno Fernandes, play shit, you play next week. Play well, you play next week. Play average, you play next week. Same with Casemiro. Same with Luke Shaw. Same with Dalot. I mean, they're never in any jeopardy, are they? If we lost tomorrow, am I wrong for wanting him out, says James. Mate, I don't think you're going to be a lonely voice singing in the darkness tomorrow night. Amorim out if we lose to Wolves. I mean, this is a team that scored 7 goals in 14 and has 2 points in 14 and hasn't won a game all season. I mean, if we lose to Wolves tomorrow, it would be a Christmas miracle. Not for us, for Wolves. I mean, apparently, I was speaking to a Wolves fan at Seb's Footy. There's a protest at the start of the game where the fans won't even be in the ground. So don't expect an atmosphere. I said, this is great for us because we did really well in COVID when there was no atmosphere. So it's not even set up that it's going to be a difficult game at Molineux. I think Wolves have got their own problems. So I think we'd all be very stunned if we don't win tomorrow. What will make me laugh tomorrow is if we win and people start going, see, we're back. We're in 6th place, because I'm telling you now, Villa, Newcastle and Bournemouth are going to be a lot more difficult than tomorrow night. And if we can get results against those 3, then I'll start to think, well, you know, maybe we've got a reaction. Chris B says, 2 or 3 of those stupid results we lost or drew, we could have easily been second. You see, that is horseshit, mate. It's comments like that I think, with all due respect, I find that laughable. Because what you're basically saying, 2 or 3 of these stupid results and we'd be second. I would say if we'd won all our games, we'd be top. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Let's live in the real world. What 2 or 3 stupid results did we actually deserve to win? Fulham away? How many corners could they have scored? We were flapping at them like a bloody bird. We didn't deserve to beat Fulham. We didn't deserve to beat Brentford. We didn't deserve to beat Forest. We didn't deserve to beat Spurs. In fact, we should have lost against Spurs. We didn't deserve to beat Everton. And we didn't deserve to beat West Ham. So people who say, oh, if we'd done this or that, well, you know, Wolves could say if they'd won 5 more games, they'd be mid-table. It's not. You can't thrive on, oh, we're only 3 points off this, or shoulda, woulda, coulda. I mean, if we'd played well in them games, I agree. If we drop points in a load of games where VAR or, you know, poor finishing, but we absolutely I mean, look, Everton had 10 men and they deserved to 10 men for an hour and they deserve to beat us. So I definitely don't look at it and go, oh, we should be in this position. I mean, we should with better football, but not what we've seen. Remember on here when we were singing We're Top of the League mid-season and got ridiculed? Feels like a lifetime ago. That was under Ollie AMG and I was singing it. João Gomez is suspended for Wolves tomorrow, says Ewan Gordon. He is. And Mario, PMA, thank you very much. He's gifted 5 memberships. Absolute legends. Thank you so much for that. If you got one, whack a double in there. Ayus says that today's my birthday. I hope to get a good gift as United winning tomorrow and jump to a higher place. We shouldn't be saying fingers crossed, but I'm not allowed to jinx it, so let's just say fingers crossed. The top needs to be set the standard, perform or out, says Jacob. Exactly. But, you know, we haven't got ahead, are we? We're Ned Stark FC. We're a headless organisation with very little standards and no brains. Eddie Mack says, evening, Mark. We can't get top 6 on luck. Question is, how much more is this fan base going to take? Scamios, RL, PR and no substance. Well, the way we're behaving as a fan base at the moment, I mean, it's been mentioned a few times, I think this is going to go on and on and on. I don't think there's any appetite from any group to do anything about it because, you know, there was an appetite to have a protest in the summer ahead of the Arsenal game and they got absolute dog's abuse. So why would you put your hand up again and say, let's have a protest when they were going to do a protest and they got absolutely rinsed? Because morons thought we were having a good transfer window and said, leave them alone, they're doing a good job. That protest was about the Glazers and Ineos. And because people thought we were going to sign Baleba, they told them not to do the protest and gave them a load of shit. And it wasn't Ineos who needed to be part of it. Hi, Mark. Do you think United could end up finishing? I've done that one from Ryle. Thank you very much for that one. Right, okay, I've still got some more stories to bring into you. So, apparently, according to Corriere dello Sport in Italy, Manchester United have rejected Roma's loan with an option to buy offer for Joshua Zirkzee. The buy option was conditional on Roma qualifying for the Champions League. Manchester United only want to sell if it's money coming in January that they can reinvest. So, you know, it's not really that Zirkzee's not for sale. It's more about we will only sell if we can get money for him, which is very unlikely in January. I don't think there's going to be many clubs that are, you know, walking around with 30 million in their pocket for Joshua Zirkzee. So, you know, I don't think we'll move him on, but you never know because United do need money, and I don't think it's necessarily always going to be about anything other than that. Also in the Chris Wheeler article, he said that Man United has shifted its transfer strategy, learning from past overspending on high-profile players like Pogba, Sanchez and Di Maria. The club now prioritises moving quickly on targets to gain an edge over rivals and control costs. Sorry, I'm laughing at this. This new recruitment approach, which includes a no dickheads policy, according to Ineos insiders, is overseen by remaining executive Matt Hargreaves, the director of football negotiations. How can you have a no dickheads policy when there's dickheads in the club, running the club? But what made me laugh a little bit here was the club now prioritises moving quickly on targets to gain an edge over rivals and control costs. Would this be why it took 7 weeks to sign Mbermo then? I mean, would this be why we didn't buy a goalkeeper until the last day of the transfer window? Was this why we didn't get a midfielder? I mean, was this why we got our 5th choice striker? I mean, sometimes the statements will be bollocks. I mean, what moving quickly and getting an edge on rivals are we talking about? I mean, trust the process and then you're putting stuff out there that's bullshit. We don't move quickly on targets to gain an edge over rivals and control costs. We paid Brentford exactly what they wanted, and we took ages to do it. Like we did. We didn't get a goalkeeper until the last day. You know, I'm repeating myself, but they act like they've suddenly come in and delivered 2 9 out of 10 transfer windows. I think their first transfer window, I gave it a 5. And the last one I gave it a 5. And look, that's only my opinion, but I didn't see many people giving it a 6. So this new no dickheads policy and, you know, this new approach, can we see some evidence of this? Or is that part of trusting the process? Is it a hypothetical theory? Because I've got a hypothetical theory. You know, when I used to go out in my late teens, you know, the theory was go out with the lads, have a really good night. And at the end of the night, you know, be efficient, get in there early, gain an edge over my rivals, control the costs, didn't want to spend too much, and take home the prize. Work out what I meant about there. I wasn't buying prostitutes, by the way. I was just saying, like, you know, hopefully find an attractive girl, have a bit of a dance, start a relationship, no money changes hand. It didn't work out like that, but it was a hypothetical. I think United's transfer policy is a hypothetical. I don't think it's actually happening, apart from in their head. Also, a no dickheads policy. I don't think Paul Pogba was a dickhead. I think Di Maria and Sanchez could be classed as dickheads and the way that they behaved, but I don't think I feel like again, this is just another example of people that don't really understand football. And we get a lot of examples of this from our current ownership, right? there seems to be some very rigid thinking, absolutes, and it's always going to go against how I think. I don't believe in red and green. I believe in everything in between. I think it's very rare that one opinion is absolutely right. There will be others who have, different opinions. You have to agree with it. But it feels to me at the moment that United's policy under Ineos is we're not going to make signings like Paul Pogba again. We're not going to spend 80, 90 million pounds ever again because it was a massive mistake and look at what happened. And we're not going to buy people over 27 again because it was very expensive and look what happened. But that is just such a shame because there is an 80, 90 million pound signing out there that would make us better. There is a 29-year-old out there that would make us better. But we seem to have gone, well, it didn't work with Pogba, it didn't work with Sanchez, it didn't work with, and gone, we won't do it anymore. But it can work. Like, you're telling me if somebody like Harry Kane became available at 32, you wouldn't do the deal because he's over 27. Or you're telling me you wouldn't spend £100 million on Caicedo if he said, I don't want to play for Chelsea, I want to play for Man United. And that's what I mean. Like, it's like that rigidness is almost like they're preaching to us, going, yeah, we're not making them decisions anymore. No one over 26. No big signings anymore. No more dickhead transfers. And I'm like, that wasn't actually the problem. I don't mind. No more big wages. And I'm like, but hold on a minute. I would love to have Erling Haaland at Man United and give him 400 grand a week. I'd love to have Mbappe at the club and give him $500,000 a week. There are players that are worth big wages, and there are players that are worth £100 million. Look at Declan Rice at Arsenal. Look at Caicedo at Chelsea. There are players that are worth 100 million. There are players that are worth 350 grand a week. And there are players over 27 that are worth signing. But it feels like United are sort of like going, hey, look at what we're doing now. We're so good. We've looked at the past and we're not going to do that anymore. And I think that's just too rigid. I think that's just too rigid. Like, there are signings that we can make if we've got the money, but we're sort of like going, no, we're not going to do that. And it's not like we're getting any better with the policy that they've got. As Jim said, well, Elliot Anderson, he could cost £100 million and we're not going to do it. I can see Elliot Anderson going for big money to Man City and we'll watch it and go, we should have done that. And we'll go, wow, we didn't want to do it. And I completely agree with Tony. You've got to invest to improve. And it makes me laugh how sometimes it's some of you, but most of the times it's rivals. And they'll take a clip like what I've just said there and they'll go, listen to this, bro. He wants to go and spend more money. They've already spent $1 billion. And you go, you are the biggest idiot on the planet. Like, what are you talking about? We all know as United fans we've spent $1 billion and we may as well have chucked it on a fire. But that doesn't mean we can't spend another $1 billion. The lesson is we spent $1 billion and we wasted it. If we'd spent that $1 billion, look, I could go back over the last 10 years and go, instead of signing Di Maria, maybe we should have bought this player. Instead of spending the money on Sanchez, we should have... In hindsight, I could spend that $1 billion and make Man United superb because I've already got the information. So instead of spending the money on Sancho, I could have spent that £75 million on a player that went somewhere else and was really, really good. In hindsight, I could spend that £1 billion and make us a super squad today. That's why United spent it badly, because they didn't buy the right players. How do you solve Man United's problem? Every single one of you, if I said to you, I'll give you one wish, you wish the thing that makes Man United better. And the wish I would have would be $1 billion to spend again from today. Because there's absolutely no way this squad is winning a Premier League title. Not a chance. So, and nobody in the history of football has brought through 11 young players and won the title. They need nurturing by senior players. So all these people who laugh at us and go, oh, bro wants to spend another $1 billion. Well, look, let's take the piss out of what we spent. We messed up. We may as well have put it on a bonfire. We're so shit. We spent £1 billion. We're idiots. Yes, we know that. But categorically, the way out of this problem is to spend money. It is. And they'll go, oh, bro wants to spend another billion. But stop calling me bro. Also, you tell me, instead of ridiculing me saying we need to spend money, you tell me how Man United get back to the top of football without spending money. And let's give it a go. But there isn't a way. You have to spend money. And it's got nothing to do with us spending $1 billion in the past. Because we may as well have chucked that on a bonfire. But we need to spend another $1 billion to get back to where we need to be. And Ineos can sack people and talk about sustainability and all this bollocks. But you need to spend money as quickly as you can on the best players as you can. Otherwise, we're not going anywhere. And buying kids, 17, 18-year-olds, is not going to change that. Because you could have the next Lionel Messi in the youth setup. But if he hasn't got people like Xavi, Iniesta, and all them lot around him, he will never become Lionel Messi. So we need to spend money on decent players now to help that team grow. Mojo says, having studied United's accounts lately, this winter-summer is the last opportunity to be able to strengthen the squad without Europe. If not in Europe in 27-28, it would be near impossible to afford a spending of 200 million to sign players. I'd bow down to the better knowledge, Mojo, but you're not the first person to say that. I haven't heard from them for a while, but what's the name of that Twitter account? Which is why I haven't heard them for a while. I can't remember what their bloody name is. Swedish Rumble. They said the same thing as well. That United are okay for this year, but if they're not in Europe again, then it's going to get really, really difficult for them. Mike JW says, I wish the no dickheads rule applied to the people running the club. Well, look, you know what? If they've got a no dickheads policy on signing players, can we have a no dickheads policy on the board? Because I think we'd be a better club. Man United moving quickly. Is the rest of the world moving in reverse? We spend ages not negotiating and don't even get all our targets and positions, says Emily Derry. Well, look, I was always going to come back to this and say it. Manchester United's club transfer policy now prioritises moving quickly on targets to gain an edge over rivals and control costs. So why aren't we doing anything in January then? Everybody wants a midfielder in the summer. We need two. Practice what you preach. If the club now prioritises moving quickly on targets to gain an edge over rivals and control costs, why aren't we buying a midfielder in January then? Because that obviously would be a replication of that. This is exactly what Chelsea did. Do you think United just look at Chelsea and go, let's say we do what they do? This is exactly what Chelsea did with Enzo Fernandez. I mean, I could literally copy and paste this into a Chelsea model. Enzo Fernandez, the club, Chelsea, prioritised moving quickly to gain an edge over rivals. That's literally what Chelsea did with Enzo Fernandez in that January window. They moved in January when nobody else really could to get an edge on rivals early. So United apparently do that, but we don't want to spend in January. Bullshit. Go back through all of Amorim's wins and how many have been a good performance. I'm sick of sacking managers. However, this is a results business, is 95 Trace. Well, that won't take me very long. There are people out there that still think if we've beaten Everton and we've beaten West Ham, we'd be in a title race. But they don't look at why we didn't beat Everton and West Ham, because we didn't deserve to beat them. This hypothetical nonsense, it's laughable, really. But look, interestingly, let's look at the wins. Man United against Burnley in August, we did deserve to win that. But Burnley are going to get relegated. We didn't win against anybody else. Arsenal, we lost. I think we deserved a draw. That's one of the games where we didn't win, which I think we did deserve something, but that was the opening day. We beat Chelsea 2-1. They had a man sent off in the first 5 minutes. So I felt we did deserve to win, but there were mitigating circumstances. God, you know what? It's quite scary, actually. In August, we won 1 Premier League game. In September, we won 1 Premier League game. October was a good month. We won 3. So, Sunderland, we definitely deserved to win that. Liverpool, I think we deserved to beat Liverpool, but it could have been a draw and they could have won it. It was one of those games. They hit the post. They had more shots, but I think we deserved to win it. Brighton, we did deserve to win it. So October was a good month. It was a good month. I'd argue that. November, we didn't win in November. We haven't won. Bloody hell. Oh, no. We did win in November because we beat Palace. I was going to say for a moment there, we haven't won since October. We did win in November. We beat Palace. And again, I think that could have gone, a bit like Liverpool, that could have gone anyway. And Palace were tired. So we haven't actually won that many Premier League games, have we? We've won, what, 5? I think the win ratio is to 42%. So, yeah. Ray Cowley says, I understand spending, but yet again, do you trust this board to buy correctly? New board before major spending, despite needing it. We're not going to get a new board though, Ray. You know, we're not going to get a new board. I mean, look, I've got to say, if I woke up tomorrow and Sir Jim Ratcliffe had sacked Barada and Wilcox, that would be a statement of intent. It would be an acknowledgement that they're not doing a very good job. But this is Glazers. This is the Glazers. They didn't sack Ed Woodward. They didn't sack Ed Woodward. He was here for years. They don't sack their lieutenants. So that's not going to happen. Do you think United keep failing because managers can't change the players or because the club keeps choosing managers who can't change themselves? Says Simply Games. Rob Always United's just gifted 5 memberships here. Let me just think on this for a moment. I've got nearly 10,000 watching tonight. Legends, don't forget the match tomorrow night. So let me just grasp this for a moment. Do you think United fail because managers can't change the players? Well, look, Jose Mourinho wanted to change players. He wanted to get rid of, we believe, Luke Shaw, Anthony Martial, maybe Marcus Rashford, but I think it was Martial and Shaw, and the club wouldn't let him. That's not acceptable. I don't know who Ollie wanted to get rid of. I don't know whether he did. I don't know who Ten Hag wanted to get rid of. It's never really come out. But Mourinho definitely wanted to get rid of players and wasn't allowed to. In the case of Amorim, what players does he want to get rid of? I mean, he had the opportunity to get rid of Bruno and he didn't do it. He definitely doesn't want Delot to go. He wants Maguire and Casemiro to stay. You know, I don't think there's any evidence of Amorim wanting to get rid of players apart from Mainu and Garnacho. And the bomb squad, which was just an open goal, if we're being honest. So I don't think that Amorim can stand there and go, I'm failing because they won't let me get rid of players. The players I would get rid of, he likes. He definitely likes them. He picks them all the time. He wants them to stay. He wants to give them new contracts. So as much as I do like Amorim, I can't really say he's in the manager category of being forced to use players that he doesn't want, because he clearly likes those players. Like, he clearly does. I mean, look, it's boring, but there was an opportunity to sell Bruno in the summer for a lot of money and rebuild the club properly, and he said, no, I'll never get my head around that. Never get my head around that. To think that Bruno Fernandes was so important to Man United that you couldn't take 90 million and then not to take 90 million and stick him in a position that he doesn't play. Crazy. Shoehorning Bruno into the team instead of taking 90 million for him and clearing a 300 grand a week wage is crazy to me. But that's on the manager. He chose that. So, yeah, interesting. Interesting. I understand spending. Done that one from Ray. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mark, we've only deserved to win thrice this season, says Wan. How many games did we deserve not to lose or draw, though? Arsenal, I don't think we deserve to lose that. Apart from that, I can't think of a game where we didn't deserve to lose or draw. You tell me. I mean, Brentford deserved to smash us. Everton deserved to beat us. West Ham did deserve a draw the other night. Fulham deserved a draw. Forest deserved a draw. Spurs probably deserved to win. So, you know, I don't think we've had any results this season where I would go, that wasn't deserved. And Jacob says Fulham, but I remember that Fulham game. It was the week after Bienda was shit against Arsenal, and I categorically remember Fulham didn't score from a corner, but looked like they were going to concede from a corner multiple times. Do you reckon the Butcher could start tomorrow night, says Ian? I hope so, but do you not look at it and go, how's he going to get into this team with Luke Shaw? I mean, I think Luke Shaw shouldn't play tomorrow night because how is Luke Shaw playing 3 games in 7 days? So I'd like to think the Butcher will start. And I think that will, you know, gradually start to improve United. But I would like to see Martinez start playing, considering we've got another Monday night game coming up again. I was looking at our fixtures actually. So it is a very congested December. It is a very congested December. We've got like 6 games, but after Wolves, it's a week until the next game because we play Bournemouth. So we have got quite a break after Wolves until we play Bournemouth because it's Monday night again, isn't it? So I think that's an opportunity to give Martinez a game and then he gets a load of recovery after it. So I mean, I think you've got to start trying to get your best team on the pitch. I mean, if De Ligt's back tomorrow, play Martinez, De Ligt and Mazraoui as your back 3. That's what I would do. Eugene says, I hate Monday Night Football as well. It hasn't bothered me as much this time. I think the last one because it was after the international break. But, you know, it's not ideal. Chip says, does Amorim want Casemiro and Maguire to stay, or does he know he won't get replacements? The board probably tells him they already have Ugarte and Aiden Heaven, says Chip. Well, he shouldn't have took the fucking job then, should he really? You know, he's a moron for taking the job if he's took the Man United job knowing that he wasn't going to get backed. He's worse than the bloody Glazers, isn't he? Because not in the sense of like what he's done to the club, but you'd have to be a bloody idiot to take the Man United job and not get, you know, knowing you're not going to get backed. Tabiz says, we won't spend cash, but proceeds to give Maguire a new contract, a contract which is top 5 for centre-backs in the league. This board is beyond anything. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate that. I've just been told that there's some news coming in, so I'm just going to quickly double check for you. Oh my God, yeah, this absolutely blew my mind. So Bruno Fernandes has been nominated for November Player of the Month award. Remember what I said about November? We drew with Forest and played shit. We drew with Spurs and played shit. We lost to Everton and played shit. We beat Crystal Palace and he got 2 assists from 2 free kicks. I'm never going to be against Man United players winning awards, but how is Bruno Fernandes in the Premier League Player of the Month shortlist for November? How? He wouldn't even be in my top 3 Man United players for November. It's incredible to me. And I saw that clip from Ricky where he said he was losing his shit going, you know, players shouldn't be obsessed about personal accolades. They should be focusing on the team. But I don't know how they come up with that. Is it, you know, I mean, look, Bruno Fernandes will always get assists, whether he's playing in goal, in the midfield. He's on free kicks. Like, he is creative. But, you know, I'm sorry, like, I can't on the one hand say he's crap in the midfield and then say he's been our best player and he deserves to win Premier League Player of the Month. It's a laugh. At some point, you're almost having an argument between stats and the eye test. And this is why I don't like stats. I think stats can be useful on occasions, but the eye test must always win through. And how the hell Bruno Fernandes is on the... I mean, the trouble is he's probably sat there going, yeah, I deserve it. And he's got players atting him on Instagram going, go, my bro, and all this bollocks. And I'm like, read the room. Read the room. How is he a nomination for Player of the Month? I don't get it. I understand the assists. It was a very good cross into Zirkzee, but Zirkzee did all the work. And it was a little 2-yard pass to Mount, and he did all the work. So he got 2 assists against Palace. But are you telling me that Ahmad couldn't have played those passes? Or Mbermo couldn't have played... I mean, it's not like... It's the Premier League who are at fault for that. Like, you know, it's... The awards mean nothing, John, But what it does do is it fans the flames of the Bruno fucking Player FC fans in our club going, stop hating on Bruno. You can't go through a show without hating on Bruno. And I'm like, he's the captain of the club on 300 grand a week. He's playing bloody awful week in, week out. And he gets away with it because he pops up with a couple of passes from a free kick. And I'm like, that's why we fail, because people actually think that's enough. And you come back to standards again. And you're banging your head against the brick wall because you're going, Bruno's been shit. And they'll go, well, he got assists in November and he got player of the month in November. So you're wrong. And you're like, well, I must be wrong then because he's won Premier League player of the month. But you go, well, that's just stats. That's not the eye test. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Spin says, if Manu wants World Cup football, he must leave in January. Bournemouth and Villa have a lot of injuries in midfield. I don't think Villa have at the moment. They had a very good midfield yesterday lunchtime. Kamara, Onana, McGinn, Tielemans. I don't think Villa have got a lot of midfield injuries at the moment. They might have by the time they play us. Simply Games says, if Bruno's Premier League Player of the Month, then the league's judging moments, not performances, because consistency surely isn't part of it. No, they're not watching games, are they? Mark, who do you have in mind for Bruno and Casemiro replacements? And always good to see Liverpool fans' tears. That's the Liverpool I grew up watching, says YMT. I still think the midfield two I would like is Stiller and Anderson. There's no doubting Wharton's a good player. But maybe Baleba can have a glow up again. But I would say that for me, I still think that Stiller would be the player that I would like. Just quickly checking in on Brighton today, because I know they drew with West Ham. Baleba did start and got subbed off after an hour. Everybody either doesn't start or he does start and gets subbed off after an hour. I presume he wasn't having the best game again then. But yeah, Baleba came off after an hour. Average game time for Baleba this season must be about 55 minutes per 90. Baleba was awful, says Sam. I didn't watch it, so I don't know. But people were trying... Well, Run says Baleba had a decent game, but Curly says he was crap. I think I'd go with the people that are saying he was crap because... You don't get subbed off after an hour. Apparently, I watched the Villa game. A lot of people said he was really good against Villa. I thought he was okay against Villa. I wouldn't say he was brilliant, but I think there's just people in the chat who just want us to sign Baleba. Sack Amorim, sell Bruno, hire Emery, get Palmer, says Craig. There we go, if it was that simple. Right, absolutely brilliant show tonight. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Thank you, everybody who smashed the like on the video as well, because we're very nearly at 1,000 likes and we've got 8,000 tuning in. So please do smash a like on your way out. If you didn't watch the video this afternoon, give it a watch. It's only about 8 minutes long and I didn't get a chance to talk about it again tonight on the live show. I wasn't going to do a show this afternoon. I read that headline and I was like, I've got to do a show. So if you haven't watched it, check it out. Tomorrow is game day, says Lee Berman. Match day tomorrow. Let's get 3 points and continue the conversation, because no matter what, you can't be wanting us to lose tomorrow. No matter what, we're playing the worst team in the league. If you can't win games, if we lose to Wolves tomorrow, we might end up in a relegation race. Like, that's how big it is to win tomorrow. It's not about sacking your manager, because that won't happen. It's not about whether we're going to get Europe or not. Winning tomorrow is like... You have to win tomorrow. Like, you can't lose to Wolves. That's a relegation team. Like, we have to win tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you on the next one.